no one told you, God loves you, and so do I. Now, the reason why we're going to be installing our drip irrigation system for the kitchen garden is because Mrs. Naked Garden during the summertime was watering out here, hand watering, and it takes a lot of time when you're doing that. Now, being in the fall, we won't have to water as much, but it's still good to have us to prepare for the spring and summer garden.
And it feels nicer out here to actually do the work
Yeah.
to do it, because it's a high of 74 today.
Yeah, so I mean, we're finally getting to a fall weather type here in Northeast Texas. Now, not saying that hand watering is bad, but when your garden is large as about more than like 8 foot by 8 foot square foot, it takes a lot of time, especially during the summertime, because
during the summertime, I'm doing on each plant a count. Like, I know how much power is coming out of the hose, how much water's hitting it, and I'm doing a count because we've done a test in a bucket before. We did a video about that on how to calculate how much water.
we'll put the link right here.
So it's time consuming to be out here in the heat with all of the plants that we had to water it.
Yeah, and that's just to get the 10-second is just where you want to do about 1.5 inches per week. But as your temperature increases more than 10 degrees, so if you're above 90 to 100, you want to increase that each 10 seconds. So as you can see, we have a lot of rows. Well, we have 6 rows that's about 16 feet long, 30-inch wide. And there's a lot of plants in each one of these. So as you can see, if she would hand water these, it would take quite a bit of time. But like I said, since we're in the fall, we won't have to water as much. Back at our previous urban backyard garden, I was pretty timid about installing a drip irrigation system, but after installing the first batch, it became a lot easier. There's no true wrong way to do it, as long as you're able to get the water source from where you need to get it at. What do you think?
It was easier than what you thought it was.
Yeah.
Because it was really all about the planning, customizing it for what your needs are.
And how we're going to be doing this is each row is going to have their own individual shut off, so that way if anything goes wrong or that particular row doesn't need as much water, we'll be able to adjust it from there. Or if we have to do any type of maintenance, instead of cutting off the whole system, we just could cut off where that particular row or the raised bed area.
And that came in handy with the last system that we put together, because there were a few times where one of the lines popped off.
Yeah.
And it was, it was really nice to be able to go and individually just shut off that line and not take away from everything else still getting watered.
We're going to start off with the furthest end and work our way back to the main source. I'm not going to connect it just yet because at a particular spot there's a walkway that I need to tunnel underneath, and I don't have the correct tool for that. And the PVC pipe, I want to do a sleeve and then stick the tubing in there so it won't get any type of debris in there. We're going to do the first bed, and then after that, we're just going to show you how we connect our drip system. We're going to start off with the 1/2-inch main tube. And since Mrs. Naked Gardener wants to put a container garden right along this side, we're going to do one long tube across here, and then doing another main going across here as the other mains going across each bed with a shut-off valve. Then we have these 1/4-inch drip tubes or poly tubes. Once we have the main line here, we're going to be able to feed off each individual containers. Shout out to Patrick, who gave me this replacement knife when we were at my parents' house trying to do an estate sale. I guess my sister either thought it was for sale or something. Somebody probably picked it up by accident. But it's a nice knife. We had this knife before. Even Mrs. Naked Gardener at the last homesteading conference wanted one, so he was able to make her one. But this is a special edition because he even put our logo.
He put your favorite logo on there. I gave him both.
Yeah, so and it fits in handy because most knives, they have a little leather handle or something of that nature, but since his knives are mostly naked, I was like, hey, it'd been nice if we could make it a little partnership. It would be like to have a naked knife on here. So thanks, Patrick, for replacing my knife.
How long did you lay that tubing out in the sun?
You could typically leave it out about 6 to 8 hours into the sun, or you could just dip it in some warm water. And what you want to do, reason why you want to do that, if you have the time, is when you get this main poly tube, it comes in a roll like this. Now you can see once you lay it out, it's hard to get into the shape that you want it. So you can just lay it out from one portion, allow the sun to warm it up, and then it'd be more pliable. So this is a 1/2 inch T, and this is for when you put your T in there, or your main tube. You can warm this up because sometimes it gets a little tricky when you try to force it in there. But you just basically just slide it in and it locks in automatically, just like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another, probably like a little piece of main tube right here, and put this on. And what this is just a little shut-off valve. And that way, if we need to do any adjustments on the container beds, we'll be able to just turn this portion off and do any adjustments. And these little 1/2 inch stakes definitely is going to help out securing. Yeah, and you want to probably do it no further out than 8 feet apart. So we got this run done, and then what you can do after we figure out where we're going to put the container gardens at, we have this little punch tool. Is you just insert your tube, you hear that little punch, and you have your indentions right there. And then you can either insert it with a barb with these polys. So after you make the hole in your main, so you have these 1/4 inch barbs that you insert into here, and you hear that little snap. Then you put your 1/4 inch poly. Like I said, if you put it in some hot water, it'll slide in just easy. And then you can add your drip emitter. Like I said, this is 360 degrees, 0 to 14 gallons per hour. And you can adjust it by a little knob right there. Flow in and out. And like I said, if you have a container, you have this little clip piece on there and stick it into your container. So now we're going to show you how we're going to lay out this first row, and then after that it's just a repeat thing till we get to the end. The good thing about doing these DIY drip irrigation system, remember how we added on to that 3 sister bed and the container bed along our urban garden? So you can always adjust and do different types of modifications, add different things on here. It's no set in stone. This is how you have to do it. Whatever works will be able in there. This is a 1/2 inch end cap, and what this does at the beginning and the end of each season, you want to do a flush out system. So you'll have this on here, you flush it out. That way if any dirt is in there for whatever reason, you'll flush it out so you don't clog up your system when you're doing your irrigation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to probably cut it about right here. Put this piece on. And then we'll just lightly tighten that up, and then we'll secure it right there with some landscape staples. And what these do, just keep it from really moving.
Did all
So now that we got all of that set up, now it's time to install these drip emitters, and we're going to do it at where every plant's at. We're not going to focus on the annual plants since they're just annual. They're going to be here temporarily, and they should be able to soak it up from the water that's nearby these. So like I said, all you do is you just take this, slop that in.
Do you take that and punch a hole?
Yep. And then you just snap it just like that. And what that would do is create a circle around this area. So as you can see, it will have like a watering around this portion. So we're going to do the rest of these and go from there.
I think it's time we stop tipping on our toes. What's holding you back now, sugar? 'Cause I don't know. Sure know you want it. Afraid to let it show. And I know you need it. Why don't we let it grow? Why don't we let it? Why don't we let it grow?
Now we're about to go turn on the water, see how things are. So if you like these types of videos, make sure you give us a thumbs up. It really helps our channel out. If you're new to the channel and would like to be part of our family, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss an upload. Is it flowing good or slow? Oh yeah, that's good. So what we found out is before you're installing these adjusted dripplers, is that you want to make sure you adjust them before putting them in because they come closed. So what Mrs. Nikki Gardner is doing is adjusting all of these, getting them a little bit more open. And then we're going to be flushing out all of these systems and then programming it for the following days to probably do it maybe twice a week. I think twice a week should be pretty much good. Once again, you have to go, most plants need about 1.5 inches of watering, and a lot of these is going to have the soil nice and moist, which is going to increase the bacteria and the fungi to keep on growing, because that's what you need to grow, or that's what they need to grow, is some moisture. So this area only took us about an hour to an hour and a half.
Why do